Hello, welcome to IDG Talks. My name is Anastasia Laurina, and today in my program I have a special guest, Richard Spooner, member of Advisory Board, Caspian Policy Center, think tank based in Washington. He's also a private investment consultant in the countries of Central Asia. Richard, hello and welcome to our program.
Thank you, Anastasia. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much. So we all know that with the energy and security crisis emerging from the Russia-Ukraine war, the countries in Asia, in Europe, and even the United States of America are thinking about the development of the alternative energy and transport routes from Asia to Europe and vice versa. What's your opinion on the current and future opportunities in the Caspian region, as well as the prospects and challenges of the United States Caspian Basin cooperation?
Well, I think the prospects for increasing the flow of goods through Central Asia, across the Caspian Sea, through Azerbaijan and Georgia to Europe and to Turkey is very good. The demand is there. I think there's a commitment to do that. I think at this point, a lot will depend on the ability to solve the technical issues that create bottlenecks on the Caspian Sea. That's the capacity of ports in Baku and Aktau, and also the availability of tankers. But I think that the desire, the will to grow that route is there. As far as the U.S., the U.S. supports the growth of the middle corridor. That's clear. I don't think people should expect the United States to immediately be making large investments, because that's not how the U.S. economy works. It'll be up to private entities to decide about investing there, along with, of course, international financial organizations.
Can we already speak about the challenges?
Well, I think the challenges are mostly the bottlenecks on the Caspian Sea, and also the fact that, of course, the northern corridor through the Russian Federation is a well-established route that shippers are accustomed to using. It does have the advantage of requiring that you only cross one border between China and the European Union. So that's something working in favor of that route. I don't think that anybody realistically can say that the Trans-Caspian route is going to replace that route, but alternative routes are a good thing, diversity in routes, more options. And so I think that will be the engine for growing the Trans-Caspian route.
Richard, the Middle Corridor provides connectivity from Central Asia through the Caspian Sea, the South Caucasus, Turkey, to Europe, and then further to the global markets. The Middle Corridor will also link, as you rightly mentioned, Europe and China, giving Washington special relationship with Beijing. What are the America's interests in the region? Can we have any particular specific attention?
When you say the special relationship between Washington and Beijing, what do you mean specifically?
The difficulties which we observed within the couple of years, yes, and the interest.
Understood. Yeah, yes, the difficulties are real. Lately, they're not getting any less. I think that doesn't change the fact that the United States supports development of the corridor. And I think that especially in light of the recent summit held in the city of Xi'an in China, to which all of the Central Asian heads of state were invited and all attended, I think that shows that China is very committed also to participating in the growth of that corridor and playing a very large role in that.
You yourself, from the last news which we observe in the internet and different social media, we can see that United States and China are trying to overcome the difficulties which we already mentioned with you. Do you feel that two countries, especially Washington, is ready for this?
I think that what Washington will provide is support for development of the Trans-Caspian route. And I don't think that's going to change because of a large role that will be played by China. U.S. is in favor of that route as an alternative to the northern route. And so I believe that the momentum that exists to develop the Trans-Caspian route is going to continue to develop and increase.
So let's look from another angle. Maybe this transport corridor may bring Washington and Beijing closer in some issues, which will also have positive outcomes for the bilateral relations between the United States and China, from the economic perspective at least.
Sure, yes. That's a very good point, Anastasia, and I agree with you 100%. That is one way that could, and let's say maybe should bring Beijing and Washington a little more in line with each other in terms of seeing their mutual interest in developing the middle corridor. I agree with you.
Well, you mentioned the summit, very important summit, which were held in China last week. China's Central Asia Summit. The heads of all Central Asian countries attended the event, and during the bilateral meetings and attending the event, all the leaders highlighted the important role of China in the Central Asia. So how would you characterize this role in the countries, in different countries in Central Asia, and what will it lead to?
I think China's role is going to be crucial. I think they're going to play probably the largest role in the development of that route because they're the end point for the transportation between Europe and China. They obviously have a lot of goods that they want to export to China, and a certain proportion of those goods could, and I think should, go through the Trans-Caspian corridor right now. So I think China is really probably the main engine for that.
So maybe China can become one of the sponsors of any new transport connectivity projects which may appear in the discussion among the leaders of Central Asian states.
Yes, I think so. I think that was something that was touched on during the summit in Xi'an. And yeah, I think that's what we'll be developing.
So talking about the importance of the middle corridor, how does the U.S. influence can be characterized here?
I think that the U.S. influence is about supporting the development of the corridor. Obviously, the United States plays an important role in geopolitical considerations. They're in favor of this route. That opens a lot of doors. That's how I would characterize it.
Coming back to my question about the challenges which may appear in the development of the middle corridor, construction of different kind of routes, the situation in the South Caucasus between Armenia and Azerbaijan, how it may affect the project?
Of course, we'll see. The corridor itself doesn't go through Armenia. However, peace in the South Caucasus is very important. And I think it's safe to say that if we talk about U.S. involvement, U.S. engagement in the South Caucasus, that's going to increase noticeably if and when there is a lasting peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So in that sense, reaching an agreement like that would have a positive impact, of course, on the Trans-Caspian corridor.
Yes, Armenia is not a part of the middle corridor, but if there is a Zangezur corridor, it can also contribute to the development of middle corridor.
True, it can also contribute, and I think it's safe to say that that's really in the interest of both Armenia and Azerbaijan, opening that corridor. So I hope that they can reach an agreement on that.
So maybe the wish of the United States to see the development of the alternative roads which bypass Russia through Azerbaijan, through the Central Asian states, can be also explained why Washington is so much involved in the negotiation process between Yerevan and Baku.
I think that Washington, for a long time, has hoped to see a real peace agreement between Yerevan and Baku. Washington is in favor of development of the Trans-Caspian corridor, so those two issues dovetail there. And yes, I think the United States is very much in support of both a peace agreement between Azerbaijan and Armenia and more growth of the Trans-Caspian corridor.
So, according to the words said by the Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, Armenia and Azerbaijan agree on the mutual basis to open communications. How do you think, will Nikol Pashinyan keep his word this time, and what should be the next step?
Well, I noticed that in Brussels, the two parties agreed on recognizing each other's sovereignty. And people are saying that means recognizing Karabakh as the territory of Azerbaijan. I think we all understand that the Prime Minister of Armenia is under a lot of pressure, from his own population, is under a lot of pressure from the Armenian diaspora outside of Armenia. And I wouldn't venture to predict exactly how his next moves will look. I just say that, like everybody else, I'm hoping that these talks that are going on now, moving from different world cities, I hope that they lead to a good peace agreement.
Richard, thank you. Thank you for joining IDT Talks.
Glad to be with you, Anastasia. Have a good day.